Now at 9, the mayor-elect of Goodman, Missouri speaks out after the town's police department resigns. Plus, the city of Neosho, Missouri receives a grant to combat flooding issues in town. And
plenty of political fallout after Tennessee Republicans vote to expel 2 Democratic lawmakers. I'm Charles Watson in Nashville. I've got the details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Goodman, Missouri mayor-elect speaks out after the police department resigns. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has details.
The former Goodman police chief, Adam Miller, says his entire department resigned because they believe Mayor-elect John Bunch is anti-law enforcement. But Bunch says that's not the case.
I'm not against law enforcement. What I expect, though, is if you're being paid and you know what the job paid when you took it, do the job. And if you think that you can't afford to do the job, you need to move on.
KOAM spoke to the outgoing mayor, J.R. Fisher, when the police department announced their resignation.
Once that comes out, we have no police department. Well, I'm afraid the drug dealer stuff like that's going to have a new headquarters.
It was rather unfortunate that they broadcast that there would be no law enforcement in Goodman for 2 weeks, but that's not true. So we're not a wide open Wild West town yet.
There's still a police presence in Goodman. As of now, McDonald County Sheriff's Office is responding to calls, and the State Highway Patrol will start patrolling the community.
We do have coverage, not full-time coverage right now, but Dirk Deaton also called. He is our state representative for this area, and he has requested that the Highway Patrol also make tours through this area.
Bunch will be sworn in as mayor on April 18th. He says he's eager to put Goodman back on the right track.
There's already mechanisms in place that we are prepared to reestablish our police department, and know when you have a police department that walks off the way they did, I have no desire to bring those same people back. When you need them the worst is when you expect them to be there.
Reporting in Goodman, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Bunch previously served as mayor of Goodman in the 80s. And now to weather, meteorologist Sam Lane joins us.
Thank you very much, Jalen. It was a beautiful day across the 4-state area with lots of sunshine, blue skies, and warm temperatures. Radar right now, it looks like there's activity on the radar, but that's actually ground clutter, not really much going on in our immediate area. A little bit wider view shows some clouds across Texas and eastern Oklahoma. That's in association with a weak system that's moving across the great state of Texas. Out to the west, we do have another storm system that's moving into the deserts of the southwest. That will make its way towards us, but won't get here until about the latter part of the weekend. So tomorrow we're looking for sunny conditions. That will continue into Sunday morning, but then some showers will develop late Easter evening, and then more storms on Monday. And of course, I'll be back in a few minutes to tell you all about that, so stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Sam. The city of Neosho, Missouri has been awarded 2 grants to help with flooding issues. KOAM's Carrie Worthen spoke with the city's Develop Service Director to find out more.
Most people who live in Neosho know we kind of live in a bowl, and we're known for springs. We do have a problem frequently with flooding in city streets.
Neosho's Develop Service Director, Richard Levens, says the city has been constantly working to try and eliminate and reduce the flooding in town. The 2 grants will help with 2 projects. One is the Hatchery Branch Project, which is designed to help floodwaters in the areas and was funded by the American Recovery Act.
That project is a $6.9 million project that is associated with another smaller project, the School Branch Project.
The School Branch, funded by the Community Develop Block Grant, and it's designed to channel the stormwater out of the area.
That one is a $2.6 million project in the Stratford and Freeman area of the city, which is over on our east side, an area that frequently floods. As a matter of fact, the last flood that we had, a major flood we had in Neosho, was in that area.
Levens says this will not stop the flooding, but is designed to help control the flooding and help reduce flood insurance.
The people who've taken the brunt of the flooding and damage from flooding are happy to see us moving forward with some of these projects. And we keep working on new projects to try and reduce the problems for the citizens of Neosho.
The projects are estimated to start this year. In Neosho, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Levin said new flooding mapping is going to be going out, which will have to be updated after the projects are over. We want to clarify a story we aired yesterday about concern over fertilizer use in parts of southwest Missouri. Some members of the public are worried that runoff from fertilizer provided by the Denali company might pose an environmental risk. As we told you yesterday, Denali says its employees worked to clean up the runoff from a March 1st incident. To clarify, Denali says that runoff was from a field and not from a lagoon. A company spokesperson says Denali is not aware of any involvement of a runoff from a lagoon. Kansas lawmakers also approved the plan today to end gender-affirming care for transgender youth. It caps off a week of intensifying efforts to roll back LGBTQ rights. The House voted 70 to 52 to require the state's medical board to revoke the licenses of doctors who provide gender-affirming care to minors. The Senate then voted 23 to 12 to approve the measure, sending it to Governor Kelly. She is expected to veto it. There's plenty of political fallout on the local and national levels after Republicans in Tennessee expelled 2 Democrats from the state house. Fox News correspondent Charles Watson has more from Nashville.
Democrats are calling it political retribution. Republicans say they're simply enforcing the rules. Plenty of strong reaction from both sides of the aisle a day after the Republican-led Tennessee legislature expelled 2 Democratic lawmakers. The GOP says it was a move meant to restore order after the representatives joined a protest on the House floor calling for more gun control following a deadly school shooting here in Nashville. Vice President Kamala Harris making an unscheduled visit to Nashville on Friday afternoon, saying she stands in solidarity with the expelled lawmakers. The Speaker of the Tennessee House dismissing criticism from local and national Democrats, including President Biden.
We have rules, we have decorum, we have process, we have procedures. Imagine if that happened on the congressional floor during his State of the Union address.
But Tennessee Democrats say this wasn't just about following the rules. Republicans voted to expel Representatives Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, who are both black, while the vote to expel a white lawmaker, Gloria Johnson, narrowly failed.
Our 2 young African-American brothers were unfairly prosecuted.
Most observers say this was a rare move. State legislatures, including Tennessee, have the power to expel members, but it's usually used in cases of personal misconduct.
It's an extraordinary action to undertake.
Under Tennessee law, Jones and Pearson are both eligible to run in special elections that will be held to pick their replacements. In Nashville, I'm Charles Watson, Fox News.
Coming up, why health experts say if you want to get in shape for summer, you should start working out now. Spring has sprung, but summer will be here before you know it. If you're hoping to shed some pounds before hitting the beach, health experts say you should start now. Reporter Mandy Gaither has tips to help you get fit and healthy for the summer.
It can happen to the best of us. Putting on a few pounds over winter isn't uncommon, but you can shed that weight by summer starting now.
It doesn't take, 2 or 3 months, and you can get it done.
Dr. Stephen Kopetsky with Mayo Clinic says start by eating healthier. He says to focus on consuming more whole foods, turn to fruits, veggies, and legumes.
They have pulp and fiber that are non-caloric carbohydrates, so they fill you. You eat less calories, in other words.
Kopetsky says we tend to eat the first things we see in the refrigerator. Rearranging your food may help.
And take the 2 drawers that say fruits and vegetables, move some things down into there, like the sausages and the bacon and things like that, and then take the fruits and the vegetables and put them up so when you come home at night, you open the fridge, you see something that's healthy.
Stay away from anything ultra-processed. If you're craving comfort foods, eat something healthy with it. Limiting alcohol can also cut down on calories, and Kopetsky says to also be smart about being active. If you can't make it to the gym, take the stairs wherever you go.
If you're a person that walks maybe 3,000 steps a day, try to increase it to 5,000. If you're already doing good number of steps, then try to do some intervals.
Easing stress is also important. Meditation or deep breathing can help. And don't forget about those Z's. Studies show there's a higher risk of weight gain when you don't get enough sleep. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A simple blood test that analyzes DNA may one day be used to predict the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Doctors say the findings could lead to preventative measures before symptoms develop that would lessen diabetes burdens both physically and economically. Sam is back with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Pittsburgh has a doubleheader in day 2 of the Adam LaRoche baseball tournament in Fort Scott. We'll have highlights.
Well, friends, we are starting off the holiday weekend great with lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, and clear skies, including this morning down in Seneca, Missouri, at Indigo Sky Casino Resort. Put this time lapse into motion. You can see that as we headed through the afternoon, bright but sunny skies, just a few high clouds spilling by during the afternoon hours, and then we had breaks of sun and breaks of clouds, and this evening a beautiful sunset across the area with just some high thin cirrus clouds. We're looking at temperatures remaining pretty nice through the nighttime hours, not as chilly as tomorrow or this morning, but still nice indeed. All right, look at the allergies. 10.6 today out of 12. Same thing for tomorrow, so it looks like we're going to be dealing with the allergies just a little bit more. And radar right now is all clear, but if we take a little bit wider view, you can see this is all part of a storm system that's across eastern Texas. That's moving towards the south and away from us. We have to wait for the next storm moving into the deserts of the southwest right now. There's one piece of energy here, another one behind it, and that will start to impact our weather as we go into the latter part of the weekend. We need some rainfall because southeastern Kansas is still under this drought, exceptional drought in Chautauqua and Elk counties, and now the dry weather is starting to spill back over into western parts of Missouri, so we need some rain to help take care of that a little bit. Temperatures right now are not that bad, generally in the upper 40s in Chanute and Parsons, 50s elsewhere. Double nickel, pretty popular number with those easterly winds. And if we take a look outside right now in Joplin, we're sitting at double nickel, 55 degrees, east-northeast wind at 5. Dew point is 25, humidity is low at 31%. And in Pittsburgh, it's calm right now, and it's 54 degrees with a dew point of 30, so the humidity is just a little bit higher. Rain chances are going to be low pretty much all day tomorrow and through most of Sunday, but then as we go into Sunday evening, and here's a look at the forecast, starting out in the morning, mostly fair skies. Then at around lunchtime, the clouds will start to move in from the west, and by evening we'll start to see some scattered showers out towards our west, and then those will start to increase in size and number as they go through the evening hours, and by Monday morning we'll see some scattered showers around the area with mostly cloudy skies. Your Sunday forecast for Easter looking like this as far as the numbers. A little bit chilly in the morning, 41 for your sunrise services, and then by lunchtime, 61 degrees with southeast winds, and then by the evening, 69 degrees for the high with partly to mostly cloudy skies. All right, let's take a look at the rainfall amounts. Generally around ½ an inch in some isolated areas. Most areas will get less than that with this activity, but again, that will be Sunday night into early Monday morning. Breaking it down for you tonight, lows in the 30s with easterly winds. Then tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the mid to upper 60s. And then Sunday morning, temperatures in the 40s across the area. And then Sunday afternoon, here comes the clouds and the showers from west-east with highs in the upper 60s to around 70. And then Monday morning, scattered showers around with lows in the 50s. Over the next 7 days, not too bad of a forecast. 30% chance of showers late Sunday into early Monday, but then it turns really nice all next week with a slow warming trend getting close to 80 by next Friday, but then more storms next weekend. But not too bad of a forecast for considering it's springtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, early next week, perfect. As for Easter Sunday, just push those storms off into the end of the night.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to do, and I think we're going to be successful.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Sam. Coming up, the Labor Department's latest jobs report.
Well, the March jobs report could cause the Federal Reserve to rethink their strategy over inflation. I'm Edward Lawrence at the White House. I'll take a closer look coming up.
The Biden administration is touting today's March jobs report. It came in cooler than expected, but it's providing some economists hope that the Federal Reserve will pause any more interest rate hikes. Fox Business correspondent Edward Lawrence has details from the White House.
Heading into the Easter weekend, investors and economists have a lot of new data to review as they try to forecast the economic outlook. The March jobs report came in slightly cooler than expected, the economy adding 236,000 jobs and the unemployment rate dropping to 3.5%.
If you've got skills and you really want to work, you can find work. And so that's good news for the American worker.
The leisure and hospitality sector led the way, followed by government and professional and business services. The Biden administration touted the report.
When you look at the overall jobs numbers, another 236,000 jobs this month, 12.5 million over the course of the first 2.5 years. That's a strong record overall.
Meanwhile, there's still a lot of uncertainty lingering in the shadows following the collapse of 2 U.S. banks and widespread layoffs impacting some of the tech sector. All of this is putting pressure on the Federal Reserve to hit pause on any further interest rate hikes. They'll make that decision in May.
I really hope they pause because we are seeing slowdown in other sectors. So it does kind of feel like maybe a slow train wreck.
And next week, we'll get the March Consumer Price Index, another key inflation indicator the Federal Reserve looks at when raising rates. At the White House, Edward Lawrence, Fox Business.
The IRS is pledging to add more customer service representatives and audit more wealthy taxpayers with $80 billion in extra funding. The money comes from the Democrats' landmark climate change and healthcare bill that was signed by President Biden last summer. Details of the plan come just 11 days before the 2022 tax filing deadline. Up next, we'll check out why Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce probably doesn't have a future in the MLB. Even though Travis Kelce played some college quarterback back in the day, Patrick Mahomes probably doesn't need to worry about Travis Kelce coming for his job. Kelce threw out the first pitch before the Mariners-Guardians game, and it was a doozy. The Cleveland native's pitch went straight into the dirt, bouncing past Guardians pitcher Shane Bieber, who was catching. It was so bad, Bieber had to jump out of the way. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. A Pitt State professor leads the charge to ship nearly 600 pounds of textbooks to universities in Africa. Plus, Kansas lawmakers approve a plan to create a state park in Allen County. A Pitt State professor wants to help university students in Africa by shipping textbooks to 2 countries. KOAM Jean Nahaldala has more from PSU's campus.
Dr. Hong Hee Lee from Pittsburgh State University noticed the need for textbooks and has now shipped nearly 600 pounds of them to Africa. Dr. Lee says a missionary from Africa building universities in Rwanda, Tanzania, Congo, and Uganda told him the universities are still in need of staff and books.
The most urgent resources he needs to find is, the faculty members to teach, business classes and also the book resources.
This is not Dr. Lee's first time donating books. He did this 3 years ago after he spent time in Africa University in Zimbabwe.
The U.S. organizations donated really beautiful, building of a library. So I went there in the library, but there's no book. So it's difficult for them to get all those books there. The most recent resource I found there was published in 1982. And it was not possible to use that for business class.
PSU student Akpere Aishatu says it is a good thing to offer supply to someone who is in need.
Nowadays we need to be educated. If you're not educated, you can't really get money, and money is the big issue nowadays. So I think that people need to get educated, and by sending books to Africa, you cannot help developed country to get a more global learning.
Lee says Book Drive was made possible because of community effort. Students, faculty, and church members were some of the people donating.
The business books or business with technologies, and the theology books, and some science books. We have just big categories, and then try to meet all those needs there.
In Pittsburgh, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Books from Pitt State were shipped to a church in San Jose, California today and will be shipped to Africa at the end of the month. Kansas lawmakers have approved a plan to designate hundreds of acres in Allen County a state park. The 360 acres known as the Lehigh property includes a lake, a cave, and more than 14 miles of existing trails. The group, Thrive Allen County, and hundreds of community members had voiced support for the proposal. Plans for the state park include a visitor center, RV hookups, floating cabins, and primitive camping sites. The designation now goes to the governor's desk. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has some safety reminders for people celebrating Easter with real eggs this weekend. One tip: when coloring eggs, hard boil them then dye them, then put them in the fridge within 2 hours. Wash your hands before and after coloring the eggs. If you plan to eat them, make sure you use food-safe dye and do not eat eggs that have been hidden for more than 2 hours. Christians around the world are gathering to mark Good Friday. In Jerusalem's Old City, pilgrims follow the path they believe Jesus walked before the crucifixion. Men dressed as Roman soldiers whipped an actor portraying Jesus. In Australia, and the Pope, fresh out of the hospital after battling bronchitis, marked Holy Week by visiting a jail to wash inmates' feet. Israeli warplanes have bombed targets in Lebanon and Gaza after a wave of rocket attacks against Israel. It's the most serious flare-up of violence along the Israel-Lebanon border in nearly 20 years. Israel says the strikes were in retaliation for dozens of rockets fired by Hamas. In an exclusive interview with Fox News, House Foreign Affairs Chairman Michael McCaul made news when he said sending Americans to fight in Taiwan is not out of the question. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has more from Washington.
House lawmakers holding a press conference in Taiwan overnight with top officials as tensions escalate between Washington and Beijing. Michael McCaul, the head of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, responding to new threats made by China on Thursday, saying Congress could authorize the deployment of U.S. troops in Taiwan if it's threatened by the mainland.
It would certainly be on the table and something that would be discussed by Congress and with the American people. Are they prepared to do this? Is Taiwan worth it? I can argue for a lot of reasons why it is.
Taiwan's president is returning home today after meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in the U.S. She's scheduled to meet with the congressional delegation tomorrow. And Beijing is already retaliating, imposing sanctions against the Ronald Reagan Library and Hudson Institute and sailing warships around Taiwan.
This move severely violates the One China principle and sends a seriously wrong signal to the Taiwan independence forces.
The delegation says it wants to harden Taiwan against a potential invasion by China, and Congress is now looking at ways to speed up weapons deliveries to the island, while the Biden administration calls for China to take a step back and find a diplomatic solution.
We continue to urge Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic, and economic pressure against Taiwan and instead engage in meaningful diplomacy.
The Speaker of Taiwan's legislature has invited Speaker McCarthy to visit Taiwan. He says those details are still being worked out. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
A bit later, concerns over hacking vulnerabilities of the U.S. electric vehicle charging station network.
Well, we've had a beautiful start to the weekend so far. Hopefully it's going to continue right on through the holiday. We'll take a look at that in the forecast in a moment. But first, let's take a look outside and show you what happened this morning down in Seneca, Missouri. As this goes into motion, you can see the clouds rolling in this afternoon. Just some high, thin cirrus clouds. Really nothing going on with that. Just a beautiful day across the entire four-state area, and including this evening. Allergies, though, I wish I had a better story on that. Unfortunately, they're still high, 10.6 out of 12, and that's going to be the same for tomorrow. A lot of that is maple, ash, and oak trees starting to pollinate. Radar is clear right now, but as we go through the next 36 to 48 hours, that's going to be changing just a little bit. You can see some cloudiness across East Texas, associated with the wave that's now moving into western Texas. And there's two more systems behind that, moving into Arizona right now, and also now starting to come ashore in Northern California. That is headed in our direction, but it's going to take a while before it gets here. So I think most of the weekend is looking pretty good. Easterly winds right now with temperatures in the 50s, some 40s in Chanute and Parsons, as well as Neodesha and Yates Center right now for some of the coolest readings. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at Double Nickel, 55 degrees, east-northeast wind at 5, and the dew point's low at 25, so that gives us a humidity of only 31%. In Pittsburgh, it's down to 52 degrees, a calm wind, and the dew point is 30, so the humidity is just a little bit higher at 43%. Now, as we start the day on Sunday for your Easter, it looks like it's going to be mostly fair. Then as we head into the afternoon hours, clouds are going to start moving in from the west, and as we go through the evening, those clouds are going to thicken up, and also some showers will start to develop out in our western sections. And then by late Sunday into early Monday, we'll see some scattered showers and storms across our area. But I think most of the holiday activities will be over by then before the showers start to get here. So breaking it down for you by the numbers, if you're starting out Resurrection Sunday with some morning services, 41 degrees at sunrise with a little bit cool, a little bit on the chilly side, but by afternoon, 61 at lunchtime. and then by evening, 69 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. All right, let's take a look at the forecast as far as rainfall goes. Not really expecting a lot between now and Sunday evening, but then Sunday night into Monday, some places could pick up an inch in isolated areas. Most areas will probably see around 1/3 to 1/2 an inch of rainfall with this next system. And taking a look at the forecast for tonight, you can see lows in the 30s with easterly winds. Then tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the mid-60s. And then as we go through into Sunday morning, again, lows in the lower 40s. But by afternoon, we'll see the clouds increase and highs will be in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. The showers will move in late Sunday night into Monday morning with lows in the 50s. Over the next 7 days, here's your forecast. Tomorrow looks pretty good. Enjoy it. Most of Sunday looks great. And then showers late. And then that continues into Monday, and then it turns nice again as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, getting close to 80 degrees by Friday. And then next weekend, another chance of storms. Some of those could be strong, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. But other than that, not a bad forecast.
Not at all. So what you're telling me is there's a chance I could break out the shorts next week?
I think you might.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you,
No
Sam.
swimming trunks yet.
All right. An exceedingly rare ruby is coming to auction. It could sell for a whopping $30 million. The 55.22 carat ruby will be the largest and the most valuable ruby ever featured, according to Sotheby's. The gem was found in a Mozambique mine, originally weighing in at 111 carats. Record gemstone sales are usually dominated by colored diamonds, but this ruby is said to have outstanding clarity that results in vivid red hues. Coming up in sports, the Pittsburgh Purple Dragons competed in Fort Scott today at the Adam LaRoche tournament. Plus, the Missouri Southern Lions look to even the series against rival Central Missouri. Highlights of that one coming up next.
The Missouri Southern Lions are hosting Central Missouri this weekend in one of the biggest matchups in MIAA this season. Southern would lose last night's game. They try to even up the series tonight. In Warner Turner Field, it's the Mules and the Lions, first place on the line. Starting in the top of the fifth, 1-0 Mules. Jack Shark hits that sharply to left field. Run comes in the score. It's 2-0 Central Missouri. Fast forward to the bottom of the seventh. 3-0 Central Missouri. Drew Davis, new ball game. See you later. 3-run homer ties up the game. It's 3-3. To the eighth now. Mules up 4-3. Isaiah Penny gets the RBI ground out. Mules extend their lead 5-3. Bottom of the ninth inning. Same score. Last chance for the Mules. Drew Davis at the plate representing the tying run. He would ground out. Not this time. Central Missouri wins the game 5-3. Mules win the series over Southern. Series finales tomorrow at 1 p.m. And the Pitt State Gorillas were on the road in Claremore, Oklahoma, taking on Rogers State earlier this afternoon. Pitt State would win the high-scoring battle 14-10. Gorillas have now evened the series after losing last night's game. Nixon Brandon went 4 for 5, the home run and 4 RBIs. Cade Clemens 2 for 5. He also homered in this game. He finishes the game with 4 RBIs as well. Pitt State will try to win the series finale tomorrow, and their game starts at 1 p.m. Well, it is day 2 of the Adam LaRoche Varsity Baseball Tournament in Fort Scott. The Pittsburgh Purple Dragons played 2 games in Fort Scott today. First of those 2 games was this afternoon against Ottawa. Purple Dragons are 2-1 coming into the tournament. In the bottom of the first inning, Jackson Turnbull, he'll turn on this one. Line drive, RBI single. Purple Dragons strike first. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Still in the first, 2-0 Pittsburgh. Grant O'Doherty skies this one to right field. That ball's going to stay fair. It finds some grass. 2 runs are going to score. O'Doherty turns into a 2-run double. Purple Dragons now lead 4-0. Pittsburgh would go do all of their damage in the first inning. Webb Fern took over on the mound, getting the strikeout there in the third. Breaking ball was working well for him again in the sixth. And the strikeout to end the game. Fern would pitch a complete game, striking out 5. He did not give up any earned runs. Pittsburgh was victorious today, winning the ball game 5-2 over Ottawa. And the Kansas City Royals tonight, they're in the Bay Area taking on the San Francisco Giants. As we see, the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals are actually taking on each other here tonight. Also on the road, going against the division rival Milwaukee. Big game for both of those squads, and just going to be tough for St. Louis, down 4-0 so far in the 8th inning. So we'll see if they can bounce back. But the Royals win 3-1 today. Salvador Perez with the home run, Vinny Pasquantino. So big victory for the boys in blue.
Absolutely, and it's just a breath of fresh air. We're coming out of basketball season and hitting the ground running with baseball season. Such a good time. And then we've got softball underway as well in the 4 states. We're going to have a lot of coverage from you and Leonard in the coming months.
Absolutely, that's for sure.
All right, sounds good. We're back with more after this. With more drivers hitting the road in electric cars, plug-in stations have popped up across the U.S. to keep them moving. But the network could be vulnerable to hacking. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palco has more from London.
More drivers are hitting the road in electric cars, and a sprawling network of plug-in stations across the country is keeping them running, a system that could be vulnerable to hacking.
Because generally these systems are not necessarily well secured.
This year, the Biden administration has committed $7.5 billion to install a network of 500,000 electric vehicle chargers. Zach Sapola is the CEO of Particle, which helps companies secure internet-connected systems like this.
At some point, there's going to be a hack. It's going to be publicized.
Sapola says hackers could steal personal data or cause chaos on a larger scale by impacting the electric grid.
I think that there's 2 ways. One is you can be affected on your own personal basis by having your credit card information stolen. There is a physical card reader. Same rules apply as a gas station to an EV charger. Just check it to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with. The second is if the grid is attacked or if the EV charger network is attacked.
These chargers, if they haven't been secured properly, create a weapon that others can use against our countries.
In the United Kingdom, Ken Monroe of Pentest Partners showed Fox News how easy it is to hack into the chargers.
This is one of the worst that we found.
This charger, manufactured by a Chinese company, uses serial numbers.
And it's that connection and that serial number that caused the security vulnerability.
That hackers could use to gain access and create a network of remote-controlled chargers.
It was made by a Chinese organisation that rebadged it into the UK. If you know that serial number, you can compromise this.
And that's a short serial number.
So once we've got a serial, or we can go up or down through different serials, now we can take control of different people's chargers. It's not about turning off one charger, it's about turning them all off and on together.
This could overload the grid, creating blackouts. While both the US and UK are heavily invested in an electric vehicle future, the UK right now is leading and regulating the security of chargers.
At this point, the best path forward is to copy what the UK is doing and just do it here.
The challenge now is how to keep a high-voltage electric car climate solution from becoming a new opportunity for a lot of high-tech hackers. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Honda is recalling more than 500,000 CRVs, but only in places where the roads need to be de-iced in the winter. The recall involves CRVs that were made between March of 2006 and December of 2011. Honda says the materials used to de-ice roads combined with water and mud can cause corrosion. Over time, that corrosion would lead to the trailing arm falling off. That's the part that connects the car's rear axle to the chassis. Coming up, if you're looking to see a movie this Easter weekend, we'll show you the new releases. A game-inspired animated adventure, an inspiring real-life sports drama, and more. Here's a look at this week's new movie releases with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Let's go. The Marioverse expands to the big screen with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Chris Pratt and Charlie Day play Mario and Luigi as the duo team up with Princess Peach to stop Bowser from plans to conquer the world.
This story is gonna make us want to fly.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon team up as co-stars and co-producers of Air. Affleck directs the story of the Air Jordan partnership between Nike and Michael Jordan. The star-filled cast includes Viola Davis, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker, and Marlon Wayans.
Every forest needs a tallest tree, and I think we found ours.
Owen Wilson leads the comedy Paint, about a public television star convinced he has it all until a new artist changes things up. The character has a very Bob Ross-inspired look, and the wig and the wardrobe certainly helped Wilson tap into the role.
It's nice not to be playing yourself, and you know, of course, part of you's always, you know, there, but it was easier to sort of maintain that illusion with this character.
Chupacabras doesn't exist. It's a fairy tale.
Netflix adds the movie Chupa, about a boy on a trip to Mexico who discovers a mythical chupacabra in his grandfather's shed. The streaming giant also has the new series Beef, with Ali Wong and Steven Yeun, about two strangers whose road rage incident brings chaos into their lives.
This is our church. I am starting to feel the spirit.
Peacock has praised this, starring Chloe Bailey as an aspiring musical superstar forced to join her cousin's struggling praise team in the lead up to a national championship.
Twerking for the Lord.
There's also the current #1 at the box office, game-to-screen adventure Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight, and thank you all so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave it the video of a baby elephant enjoying a swim at the Fort Worth Zoo. Be safe, and we'll do this all again. See you then.